God speaks to us through dreams, and I can prove it. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time because I'm about to open up and share some personal experiences related to this topic. So, without wasting time, let's dive in. Once, I had a dream that deeply impacted me. In the dream, I was standing in front of a huge door that suddenly slammed shut right in front of me. I woke up with this uneasy feeling like something was off, one of those weird gut feelings. But I went on with my life. Back then, I was living in Los Angeles and had just received a job offer in New York. It seemed like a dream opportunity. The salary was amazing, and it was a big step forward in my career. Despite the discomfort from the dream, I decided to accept it. When I arrived in New York, everything started falling apart. The work environment was nothing like I expected, and the pressure began to take a toll on every part of my life. I felt disconnected from my family, my friends, and even my faith. What had seemed so promising became a source of stress and frustration. That's when I realized that dream was a warning from God. He was closing that door for a reason, but I wasn't paying attention. God uses dreams like that to protect us. The door that closed in my dream was a clear sign that it wasn't the right path for me, but I ignored it. In Revelation chapter 3, God reminds us that He closes doors that aren't meant for us and opens the ones no one can shut. When you dream about a door closing, don't see it as a loss, but as protection. God is steering you away from something that may look good, but would actually pull you away from His purpose for your life. When God brings people from your past or old relationships into your dreams, He's calling you to something important, healing through forgiveness and reconciliation. Often, it's God's way of reminding us of unresolved issues or open wounds that need to be addressed. God doesn't want us carrying those burdens around. He wants us to let go so we can fully live out the great plans He has for us. A few years back, I had a dream where I was talking to a friend who had drifted out of my life long ago. We had fallen out about 7 years earlier and hadn't spoken since. In the dream, he just appeared out of nowhere, and we started talking about things we had never resolved. I woke up with this strong feeling that I needed to reach out to him, even though I had no idea how that conversation would go. After some thought, I decided to get in touch with him. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. We talked about what had happened, and to my surprise, he told me he had been having dreams about me too. We were able to reconcile and finally close that chapter. God used that dream to show me that forgiveness, love, and healing were still needed in my life. Dreams about people from the past can be a sign that God is calling you to release forgiveness, heal old wounds, and move forward in a lighter, freer way. Don't underestimate the meaning of those dreams. Just like God worked in me, He may be showing you it's time to restore something that's been left broken. In times of uncertainty, when everything feels like it's falling apart, God often speaks to us through dreams. He uses these quiet moments to send clear, direct instructions that can completely turn a situation around. Sometimes, in the middle of a crisis, just one simple phrase from a dream can be the key you've been searching for. A few years ago, I was dealing with a health problem that made no sense. I was living in Chicago, and I started experiencing constant stomach pain that got worse every day. I went to several doctors in the city and had a bunch of tests, but no one could figure out what was wrong. The symptoms kept getting worse, and it wasn't just affecting my physical health, it was messing with my peace of mind. The feeling of not knowing what was happening to me was overwhelming. Then, one night, I had a dream where I heard a very clear voice. The voice said, "Go see a gastroenterologist in Boston." It seemed weird at first. I mean, why would I see a doctor in another city? But that phrase kept playing in my head. The next day, even though I didn't know anyone there, I followed the dream's advice and got in touch with a clinic in Boston, which was one of the top places in the country. I made an appointment with a specialist who, after hearing my symptoms, ordered specific tests that no one else had suggested. That changed everything. They discovered I had a gastrointestinal issue that hadn't been detected before, and I started treatment right away. That dream's guidance saved me from months of suffering. Just like God did with me, He can guide you through dreams. When everything seems chaotic, a simple, clear voice in a dream might be the direction you need to get out of a crisis. Pay attention to those moments, because the answer might be there, in the details God is revealing while you sleep. Dreams where light breaks through darkness can be a direct manifestation of God's presence in our lives. Jesus, the light of the world, as seen in John 8:12, reaches us even in our darkest moments, offering clarity and guidance. When I was 32, I went through a very tough time with depression. Anyone who has dealt with depression knows exactly what I'm talking about. It was like everything was falling apart around me, and the weight of that phase started to drag me into a pit of emptiness that felt endless. The days were sad, and I couldn't see a way out of it. The sadness was so deep, it actually hurt. I was prescribed a common antidepressant in the US called Zoloft, trying to ease the daily pain I was carrying. But even with the medication, it felt like the sadness still clung to me. That's when I had a dream. I was surrounded by complete darkness, something that felt suffocating. And then, all of a sudden, a bright light broke through, illuminating everything around me. In that moment, in the dream, I felt a peace I hadn't felt in a long time. That light wasn't just a symbol. It was God showing me that even in my darkness, He was there, ready to pull me out. I woke up the next day feeling renewed, like that light had brought back the joy and hope I had lost. That was the turning point in my battle with depression. It was so powerful for me because I realized that even in the toughest times, God is there, breaking through the darkness with His light, bringing direction and healing. Over time, I recovered and reconnected with God, always remembering that no matter how dark the night, His light never fails. If you've ever dreamed of a bright light breaking through the darkness, know that this is God reminding you that He's present. He's guiding you even when everything feels lost, and His light has the power to transform any situation. Water in dreams also carries a lot of symbolism. In the Bible, water represents renewal, purification, and even spiritual battles. When we dream of calm waters, God is leading us to a place of peace where He wants to restore our souls. Like in Psalm 23, He leads me beside still waters. But when the water is turbulent, it might be pointing to a spiritual or emotional battle happening inside us. I remember a dream I had during one of the most chaotic times in my life. In the dream, I was on a boat crossing a river with extremely rough waters. The boat was rocking, and I could barely hold on. It felt like total chaos and a complete loss of control. I woke up terrified with that image clear in my mind, feeling like it meant something bigger. At that time, I was dealing with huge internal conflicts, feeling lost in many areas of my life, and that dream reflected exactly what I was going through. God helped me realize that those turbulent waters represented the spiritual battle I was facing. He was warning me about the need to reconnect with Him, so I could cross through that phase and find the still waters that only He can offer. Dreaming of clear, calm water is a sign that God is bringing peace and renewal into your life. But if the waters are rough, it could be a sign that you're going through spiritual or emotional challenges that need to be handed over to Him. Pay attention to these dreams. They reveal the state of your soul and can be the nudge you need to seek God's presence more deeply and find true rest. Dreaming about changing clothes might seem like an everyday thing, but in the spiritual world it holds deep meaning. Old, worn-out clothes represent the weight of the past, the mistakes that still hold us back, the cycles we can't break. New clothes, on the other hand, are a clear symbol of renewal, transformation, and a new level of holiness that God is bringing into your life. I vividly remember a dream I had during an extremely tough phase back in 2016. I was living in Dallas at the time and had just gotten out of a really complicated relationship that had left me emotionally drained. On top of that, I was stuck with past choices that made me feel like I was standing still with no perspective. It was during this time that I had the dream that changed everything. In the dream, I was walking down an empty street, wearing old torn-up clothes. I saw myself like a beggar. The clothes were so dirty and worn out that they barely let me walk. Each step felt heavy, as if the clothes were glued to me, carrying the weight of my past choices. It felt suffocating. Suddenly, someone came up to me. I couldn't see their face clearly, but I felt a huge sense of peace as they reached out and handed me new, clean, shining clothes. I put them on, and the moment I did, the weight disappeared. The old clothes fell to the ground and vanished. I felt renewed, light, like something inside me had profoundly changed. I woke up that morning with absolute certainty that God was showing me something because the dream felt so real. He was telling me it was time to let go of the past, to finally break free from what was holding me back. In the months that followed, I saw real changes happen. I managed to let go of the hurt from my past relationship, reconnected with my spiritual life, and entered a new phase of peace and holiness that I never thought was possible. That dream marked the beginning of my renewal. And if you've been dreaming about changing clothes, pay attention. God is calling you to a new phase where you'll leave behind everything that weighs you down and put on something new, something He has prepared to help you live out His purpose for your life. Many times in dreams, we find ourselves walking down roads that seem to lead nowhere, dead ends that reflect the hopeless moments we face in real life. But at the most unexpected moment, God reveals the solution, and what seemed like an ending turns into a new beginning. These dreams show that even when everything seems impossible, God always has a way out, maybe one you haven't seen yet. I remember a specific time in my life when my professional life was completely disorganized. I had invested time and resources in a project that, in the end, didn't work out. The frustration took over, and I felt trapped, not knowing where to go next. I was hopeless, trying to figure out my next move. It was during this phase that I had a dream that shook me deeply. In the dream, I was walking down a narrow path, and in the distance, I saw a big wall, like it was the end of the road. When I got closer, I realized there was no way through. It was like I was stuck. In the desperation to find a way out, I started banging on the wall with my hands, trying to find a way forward, but it seemed impossible. Then, all of a sudden, the wall opened up. It was like an invisible door appeared, revealing a new bright path that I hadn't seen before. That dream stuck with me all day, and surprisingly, that very same week, a new opportunity came out of nowhere. It was something I never could have imagined or planned. The door I had been looking for finally opened, and that feeling of being stuck disappeared. What seemed like a dead end became a new direction that completely changed the course of my career. If you've been dreaming about paths that seem to lead to dead ends, remember, God always has a way out, even when everything feels lost, just like He did for me. He can open doors where you least expect it, leading you to the right path at the right time. Dreaming of outstretched hands is a clear sign of divine intervention. These dreams symbolize God's help in the moments we need it most. A few years ago, my mom was diagnosed with a serious heart condition. It was an incredibly delicate time for our family because she was already 74 years old. The uncertainty, the countless doctor visits, the tests. It was constant pressure, and I felt like I was carrying the weight of it all on my own. I tried to stay strong for everyone, but deep down, I was sinking into the fear of losing my mom. During this time, I had a dream that really stood out. I was in a hospital room, surrounded by doctors and machines, and everything felt chaotic. Then I saw my mom lying in the bed, and I felt like the situation was out of control. Desperation was taking over until, out of nowhere, a tall man dressed in white reached out his hand towards me. His hand was strong, steady, and when I took it, I felt a peace I couldn't explain. That hand pulled me out of that hospital room as if it was rescuing me from the emotional storm I was trapped in. I woke up with a sense of relief, like God was telling me that even in the middle of all that fear, He was in control, and that's exactly what happened. Not long after, my mom underwent a delicate surgery that saved her life. Everything went smoothly, and the peace I had felt in the dream became a reality. I experienced this firsthand, and I can say, dreams with outstretched hands are God's reminder that even in the hardest situations, He's ready to help. He never abandons His children and reaches out to pull us out of chaos, giving us strength we didn't even know we had. When you dream of an outstretched hand, trust it's God's help coming your way. Dreaming of open books or revealed writings is a powerful symbol of divine knowledge and revelation. In the Bible, books represent wisdom, the mysteries of God, and even the plans He has for each of us. When you dream of pages opening or words appearing before you, know that God might be trying to show you something deep, something you haven't yet realized in your life or calling. I remember a dream I had when I was going through a time of intense spiritual searching. It was 1996, and I was living in Seattle trying to figure out the next step in my journey with God. I felt like there was more for me to do, but I couldn't see clearly what it was. That's when I had an incredibly vivid dream. In the dream, I was in a huge library, surrounded by shelves full of books. One book in particular caught my eye. It was lying on a table with its pages completely blank. When I walked closer and touched the book, words started to appear as if they were being written at that exact moment. The text talked about a new ministry, something I had never considered before. The words teach and lead came through clearly, and I felt deep inside that this wasn't just an ordinary dream. I woke up with a sense of urgency. I began to pray and seek God more to understand what He was revealing to me. It didn't take long for new opportunities to arise. I was invited to lead a Bible study group, something that had never crossed my mind before. That was the starting point for a new ministry that transformed my life. If you dream of open books, pages being written, pay attention. God might be revealing something new about your calling or a piece of knowledge you haven't yet accessed. These dreams are like a window into what God is planning, showing you the next step or the direction He wants you to take. It's an opportunity to listen to what He's writing about your life and align with His purpose. Now I'd love to know, have you ever had a powerful experience with dreams? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about it. If this video helped you in any way, don't forget to give it a like and share it with the people you love, because they might be looking for answers God wants to reveal too. And of course, subscribe to the channel to keep getting messages that will strengthen your faith and draw you closer to God. God bless you and your family.